All right, let's dive in. We're tackling this idea of storing up eternal treasures today. Really interesting concept, right? We're looking at an article, same title, from Positive Affirmations, that website, all about, well, positive affirmations and all that good stuff. And got me thinking, what does it even mean to have treasures that, outlast us? Especially now, when everything seems to be about getting more stuff. What do you think?
Well, the cool thing is how this article flips the script on treasure. Makes you think past just, money and possessions. What really has value? Long term, that's the question.
Exactly. And they hit that hard right away. Earthly treasures versus heavenly treasures. On one side, you've got your possessions, your status, achievements even. Let's face it, that stuff fades. But then acts of kindness, love, the positive changes we make, that impact can ripple out way past our own lives, They even made this table comparing it all. What jumped out at you from that?
I think what hit me was, it's not saying earthly things are baddie. More like recognizing their limits. Hey, those things are fine, B-U-T. Don't mix them up with what truly matters. Got to shift our focus to what has a lasting impact. Like planting a tree that you might never enjoy the shade from, but future generations, they will.
Oh, I like that. And speaking of lasting impact, this article digs deep into generosity. It's not just about money, though, right? It's framed as, a whole way of living. A way of reflecting something bigger than just ourselves.
Yeah, that's key. Cultivating selflessness, love, those qualities, they can change other people's lives, sure. But they change ours, too. And there's research on this. Did you know that? Studies show generous people are often happier, have better well-being.
Really? I mean, it makes sense, but cool to see science backing it up. Giving is the secret ingredient to a good life.
Exactly. And the article gets into the WHY of that. Psychologically, spiritually. Detaching from stuff can free us from anxiety, makes room for more meaningful things, Yep. And focusing on giving to others, it shifts our perspective.
Instead of being stuck on our own problems all the time.
Right. It helps us appreciate what we do have.
So it's not just what we give, but how giving changes us deep down.
Absolutely. And it's not about becoming some kind of saint, just bringing little bits of generosity into everyday life. The article even has a whole list of ideas, donating clothes, giving someone a meal, just listening to them.
Okay, but let's be honest, even that stuff can feel overwhelming sometimes. Where do you even begin?
The article really stresses starting small, like we said, finding something that clicks with you, your values, your interests, that kind of thing. Maybe volunteering at an animal shelter, being a mentor, or donating to a cause you believe in. It's about giving in a way that feels right to you. Genuine.
Good point. Doesn't have to be this huge dramatic gesture, just finding those little chances to make a difference, however that looks for each person. But the article doesn't just stay on individual giving. It talks about generosity impacting whole communities. There's this amazing example.
Oh, are you thinking of Sarah's story? The young professional who starts giving some of her income to kids' education, and over time she realizes it's not just the money. It's how it's changing her priorities, how she sees life.
Yes. That story is so inspiring. Perfect example of small acts rippling outward, It's not just who we give TO, it's ourselves, the whole community.
And what's really cool is how they tie that back to eternal treasures.
Yeah.
It's like when we contribute to something bigger through generosity, kindness, love, we create something that lasts beyond our own life. It's like adding our own thread to the tapestry of, human connection. Leaving something behind that keeps making a difference.
I love that image. The tapestry really captures it, that our actions matter, even small ones. They build up to something bigger than us. And that brings us to another big point, living for eternal impact. Not just random giving here and there. It's about our whole lives aligning with these values. What does that even look like, practically speaking?
The article has some steps, to start moving in that direction. First one is evaluating our priorities. Really taking stock. How are we spending our time, energy, resources? Does it match what we really care about?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Easy to get lost in the day-to-day and lose sight of the big picture.
It is. That's why the article says check in with yourself regularly. Are your actions reflecting what you value deep down?
Being intentional, making choices that fit our goals or dreams.
Exactly. And that leads to the next step, cultivating a generous heart. Again, not just money here. It's about that abundance mindset. Willingness to share what we have, time, skills, anything.
Shifting from that feeling of scarcity to one of abundance, like holding on to things versus sharing freely.
And that shift, it can be so freeing. When we let go of the need to control, to hoard, opens us up to a whole new way of experiencing the world.
It makes me think of that quote, the best things in life aren't things.
Exactly. And then the article talks about investing in relationships. The time, the love we give people, that's what lasts. Nurturing those bonds, being there for each other, building relationships based on respect, support, love.
It's true. Stuff can break or get lost, but the way we impact people, that can echo for generations.
Absolutely. And the last thing the article highlights is staying connected to. Well, a source of inspiration, guidance. Could be faith, spirituality, nature, something else entirely. It's about tapping into something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
Reminds us what really matters.
Like a compass to keep us on course. When life gets messy, you know what, this whole conversation is making me realize eternal treasures, it's bigger than just wealth or religion. It's about finding meaning, purpose in something beyond ourselves.
Totally agree. That's a human thing, wanting to connect with something bigger, wanting to leave the world better than we found it.
And that's what this article is getting at, I think. It's not just about us personally benefiting, it's about contributing to the good of everyone.
Absolutely. It's recognizing that we're all connected. The choices we make, they ripple out, impact others.
Now, A&D in the future.
It's a powerful thought, really inspiring.
It is, because it means we all have the capacity to make a difference. Doesn't matter our circumstances, we each have something to offer.
Exactly. And as we do that, we create something that outlasts, something that goes beyond just our time here on Earth.
Well said. And I think we've covered a lot of ground here. What eternal treasures are, the power of generosity, and some steps we can take to live more in line with those values. But there's so much more to unpack. In the next part, we're going to dive deeper into this whole legacy idea and look at some really inspiring examples of people living these principles out. So stay tuned.
You know, it's funny how they tie generosity to leaving a legacy in this article. It's not just the impact right now, but those ripples that keep going, even after we're, gone.
Right. Makes you think about how we measure success, It's often about what we accumulate in life. Money, stuff, status. But what if true success is what we leave behind? Not in like a material way, but the positive impact we've had.
It's like that shift from what can I get to what can I give.
Yeah.
And the article's got some strong arguments for WHY. That's important. Not just for the world, but for us personally, too.
So legacy, when you hear that word, what pops into your head?
I think of people like Wangari Maathai, that Kenyan activist who started the Greenbelt movement, planting millions of trees across Africa. But it wasn't just about the environment. It was empowering women, fighting poverty, leaving behind a better future for generations to come. That is leaving a legacy, one that outlasts a lifetime.
Wow, that's powerful. Shows how small actions, multiplied with a purpose, they can really change things. And it reminds me, the article says building a legacy. It's not about being a hero or some huge gesture. It's about showing up day after day, making choices that reflect what we believe in.
Exactly. Little acts of kindness, how we treat people around us, making our communities a little bit better, It's weaving generosity and compassion into, the fabric of our lives. So it's not just something we do, it's WHO we are.
It's interesting, though, how legacy shows up in different cultures' beliefs. It's not just a religious idea, right?
Nope, not at all. That urge to make a difference, that's universal, human. Could be Buddhist karma, Jewish tikkun olam, even secular humanism. Different frameworks, but there's a common thread. We get that our actions have consequences, beyond just us.
Like, we all want to be part of something bigger, leave things better than we found them. I think that's what the article is getting at with eternal treasures. It's not self-serving, it's about the collective good.
Absolutely. Recognizing we're interconnected. Our choices, they have power, impact others now and later. Pretty empowering thought when you think about it.
It is, because it means we all can make a difference. No matter what, we have something to offer.
Right. And as we give that, we create something lasting. It goes beyond just our time here.
Okay, but let's be real for a sec. We live in a world that often feels selfish, focused on getting more and now. How do we even start to shift away from that, to embrace this bigger legacy way of thinking?
I think it starts with ourselves, honestly. Cultivating those qualities, generosity, kindness, compassion, love, within us first. Then finding ways to express that in daily life. How we treat people, the choices we make, our work, what we support, aligning our actions with our values, even in little things.
Walking the walk, not just talking the talk, as they say.
Exactly. And the more we do that, the more those values become part of who we are. And then it flows naturally outwards, like planting a seed, it grows and blooms over time. Creates beauty, nourishment for us, maybe those around us.
I like that, the seed analogy. It's a process, a journey, not just a destination. And little steps done consistently can lead to big change. But honestly, it can be hard to stay motivated sometimes. We're surrounded by messages telling us to focus on ourselves, get more. How do we hold on to this legacy idea when everything's pulling us the other way?
I think finding inspiration support helps a lot. Surround yourself with people who share your values, who are living with purpose. They can encourage us on our own journey. Could be faith groups, volunteering, social justice, even just friends. Having that support system makes a difference.
Like a cheering section reminding us why we're doing this, keeping us focused.
Exactly. And celebrating our wins is important too, even small ones. Recognizing the good we are doing fuels us to keep going, even when it feels tough.
Like giving ourselves a pat on the back. Hey, I'm on the right track.
And one more thing. We don't have to do this alone. We're all in this together, right? When we join forces, share our resources, talents, time, we can create something truly amazing. Something that changes not just our lives, but the world around us.
Like we're all adding our own thread to this huge tapestry. Each piece unique, but together it makes something beautiful, lasting.
And that, I think, is what storing up eternal treasures is all about. Recognizing we're part of something much bigger than ourselves, and we have the power to impact things positively. Now, and for generations to come, that's something worth aiming for, don't you think?
Absolutely. And in our final part, we're going to bring this down to earth a bit. How do eternal treasures play out in our everyday lives? We'll look at practical tips, how small changes can make a big difference. So, stay tuned for the last part of our deep dive into storing up eternal treasures.
Okay, so we've talked big picture, legacy, making a difference, but how does this eternal treasures thing actually work day to day? Does it have to be some huge, dramatic thing? That's kind of the cool part. It's not about grand gestures, really. The article's big on those everyday choices adding up. That's what shapes the kind of treasure we build.
Okay, example time. What's something you do that feels like this, even if it's not like saving the world single-handedly?
Let me think. Mentoring comes to mind. I'm mentoring this young woman starting out in my field. Not a ton of time, but seeing her grow, her skills getting sharper, that's really rewarding.
That's great. It makes me think we don't realize how much we impact others, just sharing what we know, Yeah. It doesn't have to be formal mentoring either. Could be just giving a friend advice when they're stuck.
Totally. Or even simpler, just being present when someone's talking. Put the phone down, look them in the eye, listen. That's a huge gift these days, honestly.
So true. It's like we're so used to distractions, we forget how powerful just paying attention can be. And the article mentions that being present is generosity. Our time is one of the most valuable things we give.
Yeah. And that ties into what they say about investing in relationships, too. It's not just being around people, it's how we spend that time. Making an effort to connect, really connect, go deeper, offer support, encouragement.
Not just hanging out, but actively nurturing that connection. That makes me think of another thing they suggest, gratitude. They say when we focus on the good stuff, we're more likely to share it.
That is so powerful. Gratitude, it's like the antidote to all that negativity, that not enough feeling. When we're thankful for what we do have, easier to let go of needing more. Opens us up to the joy of giving instead.
So if we're trying to live with this eternal treasures mindset, maybe it starts with just noticing, appreciating what's already good. That can ripple outwards, make us want to be generous to others too.
Exactly. It all comes back to the heart of this article, really. True fulfillment, it's not what we get, but what we give. Shifting our focus from the temporary stuff to what lasts. From selfishness to helping others, from scarcity to abundance.
It's funny when you put it like that. It's not about heaven, literally, or anything. It's about how we live right now.
Totally. Our choices, our actions, they shape not just our lives, but everyone around us. Living with intention, with generosity, kindness. We create something that keeps on giving, even after we're gone.
That is inspiring, I gotta say. Gives me hope. Even when the world feels kind of crazy, we can each make something beautiful, something that matters.
And what's amazing is, it doesn't have to be huge heroic stuff. It's those small, everyday acts of love, kindness, all of that. That's what we can choose every single day.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, think about the treasures you want to leave behind. What small steps can you take? Remember, even the tiniest acts of kindness, they ripple out. Create a legacy that lasts way beyond us. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into storing up eternal treasures.